All right, welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video and article that I do for comicbookinvest.com, where I talk about those books that are probably still tucked away in those cheap boxes, those discount bins, those, the dollar bins, the $2 bins, whatever sort of discount comic book hunting you do, based on some of the more recent news, rumors, some announcements, some first appearances that you might still be able to pull out of these boxes because it could still be there. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. We are well on our way to 2K as we inch ever and ever closer. We are almost there, and once I hit that minor milestone, I will be doing another big giveaway. So, like I said, it's in your best interest to get us there as soon as possible. If you want a shot at some free stuff, can't give free stuff to everybody, but a couple of you big winners out there will be getting a bunch of free stuff. So, with that all said, hopefully you like this stuff, and hopefully you're looking forward to what I got for you this week. So just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, so for this week, we are going to start in with the news. And as I said, whatever based on the news is going to drive me to start looking for some books. And this week, I was reading this little bit about Ghost Rider, the writer of Ghost Rider, the current run with Johnny Blaze, that Wolverine's going to have a major role in the series going forward. So, more Wolverine. Not sure we need more Wolverine, but why not look at some Wolverine Ghost Rider crossovers? Could be kind of fun. As I said, because coming up here in issue 6, these two will be facing off, and as the writer promised, Wolverine will have a big role going forward. So we'll see how that pans out over time. I know I talked about that Heart of Darkness Prestige book a couple of weeks ago, and you can still find that one usually out there for pretty cheap, but that also includes the Punisher. But if you just want these two, there was this pretty cool run on Marvel Comics Presents back in the day that you might still be able to find in those boxes. There's still a lot of Marvel Comics Presents out in those bins, and just be careful because some of these do have two covers, so you don't know which one is going to be facing you when you go through and do your digging. But Marvel Comics Presents issues number 64 through 71 feature a pretty cool Wolverine and Ghost Rider tale. Eventually the two will come together. This is the first issue in the run, issue 64, but it isn't until a couple issues later, so 65 I guess is the one where we do see them actually cross paths. This is the Danny Ketch version of Ghost Rider, so I know it's not exactly the same as what you might be reading in the current run, because I believe that's Johnny Blaze these days, but I do like Danny Ketch, and we may be seeing Danny Ketch show up in the MCU. I don't know. We'll see. That's something I'm thinking about, is that they might want to refresh, from all the people who know Nicolas Cage and give us somebody new and somebody different. I mean, they did it with Robbie Reyes on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, so I just kind of feel like Danny Ketch ain't that far off. He was Ghost Rider for a good long while there through the 90s, so we'll see. We'll see which direction they decide to go. But that all being said, this is the Danny Ketch version where he's meeting Wolverine, and here we go. So this run, like I said, you can find individual books even online for as cheap as $1. Or look, this is the whole run for like $7. Or actually, it might just be a lot, but for $7, cheap books, you can find this stuff out there. Not a big buy-in. I'm not recommending anybody buy it online. I'm telling you, dig in the boxes because you can probably find them for $1 or less even. And even if you look online right now when you're curious, the whole run, 64 to 71 is only $15, and then $2 to $4 for individual issues is common. It's common to find these for even super cheap online. So just kind of fun stuff to hunt, again, based on some Wolverine crossing over with Ghost Rider. Another fun little bit that I like where these two kind of intermingle, I guess, was in this the Jason Aaron run here. Well, Wolverine goes to hell at the start of this run. I think it was in 2010 of Wolverine. So issues 1 through 5 featured, Wolverine going to hell. And it wasn't until the second issue that we actually seen like the Ghost Riders showing up here. And there were multiple Ghost Riders, including Hellstorm, showing up to mix it up with there's a possessed Wolverine. Wolverine was in hell. You had Mystique on the outside world running through some stuff. And the Ghost Rider showed up to kind of help stop the possessed Wolverine. Now, they didn't actually mix it up, though, until a little bit later in the series, where we hit issue 4, where we got this nice little Colossus cover. I believe this is Jay Lee who did the cover on this one, if I'm not mistaken. But like I said, it's a fun run. It's a fun read for that alone. But it's this issue here where we see the Ghost Riders actually finally mix it up with the possessed Wolverine. So I don't know. Look for the whole run. I would try to get the whole run because if you do find the whole run, you might do all right for yourself. You see here, a whole run of 1 through 5 sold for $53 plus shipping. So that's not a bad return for a run that you could probably find out there because, again, this isn't super tough to find. I mean, it's Wolverine. Wolverine was always well printed. Like there's already a ton of a print run for most of these issues, and you can even find individual issues out there for around like $5 each. So if you do the math on that, if you could buy these for $5 each and you can sell the set of 5 for 50, you might do all right even doing that. But that's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm telling you look for it in the dollar bins. You find it in the dollar bins, then your upside is even greater, and you can also take a little bit less because you have a lot more room to work with for that return on your investment if that's what you want to do. Again, I'm not telling you, I mean, you hobby how you want to hobby. You want to flip books, flip books. If you just want to get it for yourself, get it for yourself. I'm just trying to give you different angles and different ways to look into comics and what you can look for when you're out there hunting in those cheap boxes. So, as I said, this is a fun run just to read. It's a decent read, decent art throughout. So, for that reason alone, I'd recommend grabbing this if you can find them for cheap. But as you can see, you might be able to make a couple of bucks too. Next up, we're going to move to another story. We're going to shift on over to the DC side of things for the next one. And Flashpoint Beyond reveals the smartest woman in the universe. So I know on the Marvel side of things, there was a big ranking system of who's the smartest character in the Marvel universe. And Luna, Moon Girl. And then you got Amadeus Cho is the 7th smartest, or maybe he's the 8th. I know. Figuring these things out in comics is always kind of fun. Like that, this ranking system of who's the smartest character. But apparently the smartest woman in the DC universe has been revealed, and she is from Rip Hunter Time Master. Yes, you're not going to find this book in the dollar bin going all the way back there, but you might be able to find the more recent version of her in Time Masters. So this 8-issue series from DC in the I think this was in the late 80s. These Time Masters run. You can find this. Oh, I'm sorry. And the character I'm talking about is Bonnie Baxter. You can see her introduced here in issue 1. Granted, for being the smartest woman in the universe, she definitely fell trapped to that 90s era of it's all cheesecake, and this is how we sell comic books. So here's her introduction, or I should say reintroduction, into the DC universe in this Time Masters series. So there you go. Bonnie Baxter, revealed recently to be the smartest woman in the DC universe. But again, you can find this Time Masters run out there for pretty cheap. Look, $2 for the whole run. $2, $1.99. Got all 8 issues. Or you can see another 8 issues could sell for $20, but very, very cheap. You can find these, like I said, you can find these out there, and you most likely can find the entire run in a dollar bin, 50-cent bin even, because this is not that of an in-demand series. But hey, it is what it is. You can see of copies available. It could be $25 to get the whole run out there, or as cheap as $6. Granted, that $6 one still has $14.99 shipping, so you still end up paying pretty close to the $24.99 with the free shipping. So it is basically $20 to $25 for the whole 8-issue run if you just want to go buy it outright. But like I said, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm telling you to dig in the bins. Maybe you can find it for cheap, or just look at that first issue. If you just want the first issue, just go and find that first issue if you can. Again, it's more for scavenger hunt fun purposes. I'm not expecting a big return on investment. I mean, is it really that big a deal that Bonnie Baxter is revealed to be the smartest woman in the DC universe? Probably not, unless she has a big storyline or something coming up. But that being said, that doesn't mean we can't find some of these comics even just for fun. I mean, I'm talking about cheap pickups. I'm talking about dollar pickups. So it's not a big investment on your part. It's like I said, this is more for fun and for informational purposes. Now, let's go hop on back to Marvel with the next one. And here we go. We got a Sabretooth story. So Marvel just brought back Sabretooth's former partner. And this is the partner that was introduced back in the 90s. His little female sidekick, Birdie. Apparently, she was reintroduced back in, or just recently in Marauders number 6. So in Marauders number 6, we see that Birdie returns. And she even has that old school 90s getup. And we see she's even returning with that old school 90s getup that she was rocking with the little flare on the shoulder pads. But her hair is distinctively blonde as opposed to, I believe it was white when she showed up in that Jim Lee run. But Birdie returns, and her first appearance was in, as I said, that popular X-Men run with Jim Lee and Chris Claremont, issue 6. I've always loved this cover with Psylocke and Sabretooth right there. Gorgeous cover. I'm a big Jim Lee fan though, so I'm a little biased, but you can still find this run out there for cheap even now. I mean, they print this. X-Men 1 was the most heavily printed book ever. So even at issue 6, this was still pretty significant. There's tons of them out there, but if you want that first appearance of Birdie, you can see her here. Look, like I said, she's wearing the outfit still with the little, frills on the shoulder pads there. Look, her hair was white then, but now it's kind of a blonde. So I guess they're going with the white blonde House of Targaryen kind of look, maybe. I don't know. That said, you can still find this one out there. It does I don't want to say okay, but it's still relatively cheap. Look, copies can sell for as cheap as $1 or $6. And then you can see, look at that, 9.8. It's a newsstand 9.8, mind you, because people love their newsstands from the 90s. So a newsstand 9.8 sold for $240. So maybe you can even get lucky if you find a really nice copy, and you can find yourself a newsstand copy and you want to get it graded. Look, there's some potential there. Potential return. But when you just shop online, you can see here most copies are like $5 to $7. It's not asking a lot, and you can occasionally catch those 99-cent auctions. Not a lot of shoppers, and maybe you get this like that other person got it for $1.25 at auction. So once again, cheap investment, but a really cool book, and it's got a first appearance in it, so can't go wrong there. Now, my next story was actually meant to be on last week's show, but I had so much to kind of cover, I just kind of left it off. So I saved it for this week. And this is going back to that rumor that we might be seeing Nightwing and Barbara Gordon tie the knot in an upcoming issue. I mean, it looks like they're kind of angling towards that, maybe with Nightwing number 100 coming up soon. So maybe that's like the anniversary kind of a big event that they're shooting for. I don't know. They might just back off on it like they did with the Catwoman Batman marriage too, but who knows? But for now, let's look into these two's relationship. Let's take a look. They have been married before, granted in an alternate universe, but in Dark Knights of Death Metal, the last stories of the DC universe, these two were married by none other than Batman, because apparently Batman is an ordained minister. Maybe he got it on the internet, so you could be married by Batman too. So Batman marries these two, at the end of this little tale. So if you want to find this one, it's out there. I mean, a lot of this death metal stuff was, again, decently printed, and not everything sold out. So a lot of this stuff ended up going in those kind of discount overstock kind of like bins. So this is the kind of thing you might still be able to find, pretty cheap. So if you want to go hit up your shop, you might be able to find it. So what does this book sell for? Again, I told you it's not a lot. $6, 99 cents at auction. So it's like $1 to cover, maybe a little over cover. Granted, there's copies available now for $6, $12, or you can take a shot at a 99-cent auction and maybe you win it for 99 cents or $1.25 or something, pretty cheap like that. It's still cheap and still available out there if you want to get the, this story and see these two actually married by Batman. Like I said, fun little story. Another fun little story, if we go way back in the day to Batman Family, you can see right here, these two, they're pretend wedding. So they're kind of faking it for the storyline, but it's still right here on the cover. So that makes it kind of fun with, granted, he's not Nightwing at the time, but that's, Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon getting married on the front of Batman, the Giant Family. Batman Family, like the Giant issues, these like big kind of like anthology type books from back in the day. This is issue 11, by the way. And you might think that, oh man, these things are going to be expensive and whatnot, but no, these really are not expensive. The Batman Families. I know you can get Duella Dent. I think her first appearance is in issue 5 of Batman Family. One of these. It's like an orange cover. But you can see here, look, yes, copy sold for like $17, but you saw a lot of 4 issues sold for $10, and then best off run $10. This thing doesn't sell for a whole heck of a lot. And even if you go shopping online, look, there's copies available for $4 to $6. So not a pricey book at all. Like I said, just kind of fun little thing and fun little story. And you get it on the cover, which is also nice for the time. It's almost like getting a panel. Now, the big book for these two and their relationship really seems to be the Birds of Prey book. So we're just going to have to talk about it just to, kind of get it out of the way. We don't want to ignore it. Chances of you finding this in a dollar bin are pretty slim these days because this is a little bit of a pricey book, but it's good to know it in case you run across it. So we're just going to go through it real quick. So Birds of Prey number 8, you can see here, this is during the time when Barbara Gordon was, in the wheelchair. So the legs were, damaged, following the, the Killing Joke and all that stuff. But in August of 1999, you can see here, they get so close, but she ends up, passing. So they don't actually get together here. So I know a lot of people like to point at this as like the beginning of their relationship, but they don't actually start a relationship here. They have like kind of a date and they do a little trapeze swing and they get kind of close, but no cigar. So I don't know if we can call this one the start of their like, relationship. I mean, and they have flirted and all that throughout the decades leading up to this point. I mean, this is 99 after all, but I still don't know if we could point to this being their, the start of their relationship because it just kind of fizzled. She kind of shoots him down here. And again, this is August of 1999. And like I said, this is still a pricey book. Copy selling anywhere from like $40, $60, $50, $70 even raw for all of those. Oh, no, not all of those. That $152 one is an 8.5. So if you want to get I don't want to say lower grade, I guess that's mid grade, mid to high. That said, copies available in that like $50 to $75, $80 for raw copies. So if you can find it, this is a pricey book. But since it is a pricey book, the chances of you find it minimize. So I mean, keep an eye out for it, but I wouldn't be betting on finding this in the dollar bin anymore. But what you can find in the dollar bin is Nightwing 38. Now, with Nightwing 38, I feel like this is more of a start of their relationship. This is December 1999. So a few months later, so after they got close, a few months later, I mean, here we go. They're locking lips. It looks like this is the start of something here. So if you want the actual start of their relationship, and if that's the kind of thing you want to collect, this is, I think, another book you want to keep an eye on. Don't just buy into the big price book because it's got a cool cover and a lot of people tell you that that's the start of their relationship. Look at this one as well, as she was helping Dick Grayson kind of like heal and kind of come back because I believe he was injured at that time from part of the storyline. But that said, this book is really cheap. Look, $4 is an example of a copy sold. There aren't a lot sold, so that's like the only solo I could find of this book sold. But then copies available are like $2 to $4, so it's not a pricey book at all, and one you could probably still dig out of the dollars. So keep that in mind as well. As what I can see is more of a legit start to their relationship, if that's what you want to go and buy. Another fun one to go out there and hunt would be another Nightwing book. And this is Nightwing number 117. Again, ages later in the run, but this is April of 2006. And in this one, you can see him proposing. So if you want another proposal, here you go. So this is the proposal that happens. And then they skip and do the 1 year later. And you come to find like, it didn't work out. So they didn't actually get married. But do you want that kind of like proposal issue? You can see it here. Kind of fun. And another thing you can probably find out there for cheap because just like the other book, not expensive. Nightwing Run, not expensive. Look, copies sold. Just buy it now, $1.19 or $6. Like it's not a pricey book at all. And available copies like $3 and even $5.50 with a few bids on a lot. Like that's another way you can find some of these things. Buy them in lots, and then you get a bunch. You get a chunk of a run. You can get them to read, and you can usually get them at a discount because I don't know. Buying lots is a good way to get books for pretty cheap, especially if it's an unpopular run. Not unpopular, but it's not the hot book right now. Like everybody's searching for Blue Marvels and things like that, but nobody's looking at Nightwing, so you can probably get a nice little Nightwing lot. I bet you it ends probably close to this $5.50. It's ending tonight, 7:04 p.m. So it's going to end before this airs, but not before I started shooting this today. So $5.50. I bet you it ends right around there. We'll take a look. That said, I got one more story for you. We'll move on to the last one, and this was also meant for last week, but it's not time sensitive. So this is another one I felt comfortable pushing for this week's little test. And this is a story I was reading. It's more of an it's not newsworthy as much as it was more like a editorial type of piece of how the Matrix owes its existence to an obscure Marvel comic. It's just kind of a reminder about the Matrix and how the Wachowskis worked at Marvel for a while. I mean, granted, they wrote some Hellraiser books before this, but the Wachowskis also wrote this from Clive Barker, also with Clive Barker, Ectokid, over at Marvel. They didn't write it at the start. I think they picked up with issue 3, or one of the sisters did, and then uncredited sister helped. But the Wachowskis worked on Ectokid, back in the day. And a lot of the concepts that they tell in like Cloud Atlas and like the Matrix are kind of like layered into these stories. It's they call it their Rosetta Stone for like all of their movies. Like if you read this article, because a lot of their ideas were introduced here, and then they got to flesh them out later when they made it big and were able to make movies. So it's kind of fun, and it's kind of fun if you want to read these comics and see those connections of like the hidden world, like the Matrix of like waking up and you're like, oh, but Ectokid could see more of a spiritual thing more so than like the technological thing, but same idea, just slightly different execution. But anyway, enough about that. Let's just look at the Ectokid books, right? So if you find Ectokid #1, I think this had like a raised cover. I can't remember the terminology for it. It's kind of like a bumpy, so like 3D effect. It's almost like a whatever. But $10, $15, you can see individual sales for it, but then you can look like a lot that had most of the run in it for only $5.72. So once again, sometimes you can get the issue 1 along with other issues for cheaper than you can get just buying the #1 issue. So keep an eye on those lots, especially at auction. The whole run only ran 9 issues, mind you. So maybe you can find the whole thing out there. But that's just, again, another tip on a cheap way you can sometimes get books is check lots. Check out lots, even unnamed lots. Like, you can just see what's in there. It doesn't hurt. I mean, if you got the time. But you can see here, looking at what's available, though, $10 to $20, really, they're asking for issue 1. And then looking at the whole run of 9 issues for $30. 11 people watching it, too. So there is some interest still in Ectokid, I guess. But if you're not looking to get the whole run or even just the first issue, as I said, the Wachowskis, they didn't start writing, and the stories that I was mentioning being the Rosetta Stone for like their movies didn't really come until later, and that was with issue 3. So it's not much later. It's only 2 issues in, or 3 issues in to be precise, but still. So issue 3 is where they pick it up, and this is the one you might want to go looking for if you want to check out some of what they were writing and some of their ideas. And again, cheap book. This individual issue sold for $3. That's an example of it. And then a copy's out there as cheap as $1.79, or it could be $10 with free shipping. So once again, not expensive books, but kind of fun stuff for you to go out there and dig for. Gonna go out there, hunt, and just go look for. I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with different angles and different ideas for you guys. I mean, this is episode or article, I guess, 209 of me doing this dollar bin topping. So the last like 3 years, I've been throwing out tons of ideas, and there's still more. And then with every news item and every new announcement, there's more things to go back and dig through. From what was once considered junk can now be considered treasure, based off of just some news announcements and rumors and things like that. I mean, you look at who was buying the Spot. Before the Spot was like that kind of dollar bin fodder, until you kind of like found out that, oh, it's going to be the villain in the next Into the Spider-Verse movie. So you never know with some of this stuff. So that's what makes it fun, and that's what makes hunting fun, at least for me. So hopefully you're still enjoying this. Thanks for stopping by and checking this out. Thanks for supporting the channel. I do appreciate all of you. Again, let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know some ideas you have, some things you want to hear more about, and I'll see if I can accommodate. And with that all said, I will see you guys soon with some more content. All right, later.